Hey, good Monday afternoon. Thanks for joining us today. I'm meteorologist Taylor Cox, and we are obviously not on the green screen this afternoon. We have a big work from home day across the office, so we don't have a producer today, and all of that is thanks to the snow and ice conditions outside of a lot of people's windows today, but we had some icing conditions here in Oklahoma City. We're going to get to that national forecast here in just a few minutes, but since I am solo today, I'm going to go ahead and check my audio, make sure that everything is working, and then we'll go ahead and get into that forecast. So, ooh, I see oh, okay, and I hear my audio as well. So we'll go ahead and get started on the forecast today because yes, the really big thing about today is that we have those winter conditions, dangerous winter conditions outside of your window. Maybe you've got rain. We'll talk about that here in just a few minutes. You can see from the radar above me, we've got a little bit of a mix of everything, rain, snow, and ice. We have severe risks down to the south, talking about a low tornado and a wind risk down in some of our southern states. We'll talk about that, and we'll go out to meteorologist Michaela Smith for a hurricane season recap. We are officially out of hurricane season. That ended yesterday, and now we are into meteorological winter. Today is the first day of meteorological winter. So let's go ahead and take a look at your 24-hour storm reports in terms of severe weather. Not much has gone out. However, you saw that we had a lot of winter weather across the U.S. today. Yes, that's something that we'll be talking a little bit more about. Over 2, 3, 4 inches of snow in places like Kansas today. We also have snow ongoing in Missouri right now. So we'll take a look at some of those. Let's see, actually right now, let's just go ahead right now and take a look at some of those live road conditions at the moment. So this is the view from Kansas City at the moment, and you're gonna see a lot of snow coming down right now. We've got stalled roadways where there is no movement from that traffic on the highways here. Now, snow came down really, really fast, about 2 inches, 3 inches an hour here, which is really, really impressive. And that made conditions drastically change from maybe just a little bit of snow on the roadways to complete whiteout conditions all the way through the metro, okay? So we've got that ongoing right now. The snowfall rates have let up a little bit, so it's not snowing as heavy as it was earlier. However, it's still snowing at the moment, so those snowfall totals are going to go up. We're at 2 to 3 inches right now. However, I do expect even more impressive snowfall totals. You can see that we have some visibility from this camera. However, if we get some views across the metro, you can see that we've got lots of red popping up across the Kansas City metro right now, and a lot of wrecks as well. Low visibility in this area at I-70 and 3rd Street. People are taking it slow from those snow-covered or slush-covered highways here. Just a reminder, and something that we saw in Oklahoma City today, is that bridges are going to ice before anything else does. So make sure that you watch your speed on those bridges, especially because those are going to be the colder conditions. You've got wind coming under the bridge, making it cold. You've got wind going over the bridge, making it cold. It's going to be a lot colder than some of those just normal roadways. So that's what we see right now. Ooh, lots of snow coming down in this area at Prospect Ave and I-70 westbound. That's what you're looking at right here. So yes, we still have snow coming down across Kansas City right now. Going back to the maps here, let's go ahead and take you back to your forecast. Let me know where you're watching from today, and we can tailor the forecast to where you guys are watching from. Let's go out to the northeast. It's quiet right now. However, that's going to change later today as we have all of that snow that's across Missouri at the moment. That's going to move to our New England states, our Midwest. It's going to cause some really tough conditions, dangerous winter conditions through the overnight hours. We also have a potential for severe weather across the Florida Panhandle, Mississippi, and Alabama, the southern portions of those states today. That tornado and wind risk is going to be something that we're keeping an eye on. And across the west, it's pretty quiet for now. However, wait until later on this week and we'll have a second winter system come in. That's going to create our next round of winter weather. Let's go ahead and take a look. I'm going to take a look at those temperatures. So let's go back to temperatures here. Temperatures, ooh, it's cold outside. We told you this last week that we were going to experience that cold blast. Teens across Minneapolis, 25 in Billings, well below freezing in Kansas City at 23 degrees. And we're sitting right at freezing in Oklahoma City. I can see right now that we do not have any icing conditions outside of my window. However, that doesn't mean that we don't still have some lingering icy spots across the metro. Snow accumulations so far. Well, we've seen obviously the snow accumulations across northern Kansas and Missouri. However, we have more snow coming, okay? This system will continue to track to the west across the Midwest later on today, and a really good chance for a ton of snowfall accumulation across our New England states later on tonight. So if you look at our timeline here, let's look at the timeline at 3 o'clock tonight. You've got snow moving into our New England states through the overnight hours and into tomorrow morning. So I'm really, really concerned about the morning commute across our New England states by early Tuesday morning and potentially lingering to Wednesday as well. We turn our attention back to the west where Denver, Colorado is expected to get snow on from a system later on this week. We have tons of winter weather advisories in effect right now, all of that highlighted there in purple. However, I do expect some of these to be upgraded to winter storm warnings as we head into the overnight hours whenever we get closer to the snow moving into the Midwest. We do already have a winter storm warning in effect right now for our most northern states, our New England states, including Maine, Vermont, all of that highlighted there in pink. You can see on the right side of your screen, that is your winter storm warnings right now. So what questions do we have before we continue on our forecast today? Just getting a look at some of your questions right now. We can see that we've got lots of people watching from Facebook right now. We've got some people watching on YouTube as well. So put your questions in the comments section and we can answer those questions as we continue on to our forecast here. Significant hail model. Well, it's looking pretty boring for hail today. No, we're not expecting any hail today. However, we do have that tornado risk down in some of our southern states. We'll get to that here in just a minute. You can see we've got snow up to the north across the Midwest. We've got maybe some icy mix, some wintry mix where you could see maybe some icy conditions, that freezing rain like what we saw in Oklahoma City, right along the Missouri and Arkansas state line, all the way into places like Kentucky and Tennessee. Better chances for snow up to the north, but then better chances for severe weather down to the south in places like Mississippi, Alabama, and the Florida Panhandle. Let's take a look at the timing for this. I would say later on this afternoon, between about 4 and 5 o'clock, all the way through the late night hours. Some of the best chances for severe weather could come through whenever it's already dark. So just keep an eye on that today. It's a low risk, but it's still something to keep an eye on. What about your travel delays? So you waited until after Thanksgiving to hit the road and come back home. You thought it would be better traffic, and here you are in a tough wintry mess all across the Midwest today. You can see that that is highlighted there in yellow. After today, we're going to see another round of snow out in the western communities like Colorado, Wyoming. We could see another round of snow in these areas, and that could also stall our travel later on this week. Some of those areas throughout the plains, I think that we're seeing some of those yellows and reds pop up for travel delays. That is because of the high wind that we're getting after all of this winter weather. So here's your temperatures. Yes, it's cold out there. Will it warm up later on this week? Hey, tomorrow we warm up across Oklahoma and Texas. Still seasonably cold, still a little bit cooler than normal. However, we're going to see some warm up here. At least it's not going to be in the 30s throughout the entire. Oops. Go back to temperatures. There you go. Alrighty, moving on here. Let's go to Tuesday afternoon, 40s and 50s across Oklahoma and Texas. I'll take that. Ooh, Bismarck, 0 degrees. It is cold, maybe even below freezing for some of us in the, not below freezing, below 0 for some of us in our North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin states there. That's very, very cold. You can see that cold air continues to move across to the east in the Midwest and in the Northeast, our New England states, as we head into the end of this week. So yes, it's a cold week for many. We've got several chances for winter weather. For your severe weather outlook here, I told you that it's going to be southern portions of Alabama and Florida for today. That is a tornado and a wind risk. It's a low risk, however, it's still on the board, so it's something that we need to keep an eye on. And for tomorrow, northern portions of Florida, which includes the Panhandle and Jacksonville, or just outside of Jacksonville, Florida, again, a tornado and a wind risk there. But other than that, your severe risk is going to go down as we head into the middle of the week. Here's a look at your overall forecast here. So we're going to start with today and go all the way through the middle of this week. Later on tonight, we see storms, winter storms, come into Chicago, St. Louis. We've got Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, all included in that winter risk today. It's not only just snow here that's going to cause a lot of tricky travel problems, but it's also going to be The potential for ice in some areas, anywhere from the Missouri-Arkansas state line into Kentucky and Tennessee, and then all the way into the Virginias as well. This continues, as I mentioned earlier, through the overnight hours. So it's not just a daytime system, but it's going to be happening while it's dark and while you're asleep as well. So you could wake up, you go to bed with no snow and wake up with a lot of snow depending on where you are. Here's a look at that midweek system that I told you is bringing snow into places like Colorado, Kansas, Nebraska. We could see another round of snow here across the Midwest as we head into late Wednesday and early on Thursday. So we've got another winter weather system coming in after the one that we have today. More rain for the southeast as well. So it's almost like a rinse and repeat as we head into the later portion of this week. Could even see another round of snow for places like Oklahoma next weekend. However, I wouldn't bet on that. We're just too far out to tell exactly what's going to go on next weekend quite yet. So we can't tell you what's going on next weekend, but we can tell you we could have some winter weather and some cold conditions. Speaking of winter weather, let's go ahead and check on our cameras in Kansas City. We'll press that play button here. All right, Kansas City, how you guys doing out there? Have you seen any improvement in the roadways? Let this load real quick. Dun, 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 dun. Come on, Kansas City. All right, let's try another one. You can see, I mean, whenever we close this, you can see just how much red is going on across the metro here. You can see that we've got a lot of backups for your lunchtime and probably continuing all the way through this evening, okay? Give yourself plenty of time as you hit the roads today. Oh yeah, look at that. It's still coming down out there. Lots of tricky travel. And what I'm worried about the most, I know that these cameras show the highways, but it's going to be those back roads. Those back roads could be some of the trickiest travel because think about it, throughout the day, people are on the highway, you know, they're warming, keeping the roadways warm, warming up the roadways, helping to melt that snow, but no one, almost no one, is going to be in those back roads, you know, those neighborhood roads. So you're going to head home after work today, you get to your neighborhood, and you may have all kinds of snow issues, all kinds of travel issues. We've already seen reports that some roads are impassable in Kansas City. But I want to take a little pivot here and go from winter weather into hurricane season. Remember hurricane season? Yeah, a few months ago, we had lots of different storms. We had tropical storms. We had category 3, 4, 5 hurricanes setting records for this season. To talk about that, meteorologist Michaela Smith is going to recap our hurricane season. Now, yesterday was the official last day for hurricane season. We are now on to meteorological winter today, but let's take a look back. Michaela, what did this past season look like? Tell us about the record number or the record, any records broken for this season.
Thank you, Taylor. Yesterday concluded our 2025 Atlantic hurricane season. It began on June 1st and wrapped up yesterday on November 30th. So now we're going to break down exactly what we experienced this past hurricane season. Starting off, we officially had 13 named storms this season. And according to NOAA, typically in a hurricane season, we see about 14 named storms. So we were very close to average on where we should have been. Now, even though we were close statistically to average, this was the lowest named hurricane season in a decade. The last time we had this little hurricanes or storms in general that were named, that was back in 2015 when there were only 12 named storms. And not only was this the first time in 10 years that we've had this little named storms, but it's also the first time in 10 years that we've not had a single hurricane make landfall in the U.S. In fact, the only storm that impacted the U.S. was Tropical Storm Chantal. That impacted the U.S. near the Carolinas in July, and after that, all the other storms steered clear. Now, just because we didn't have storms directly impacting the U.S. doesn't mean that we didn't have major damaging hurricanes this year. Just in October, we had major Hurricane Melissa that hit Jamaica as a Category 5 hurricane, one of the strongest hurricanes ever to make landfall. We also had Category 2 Hurricane Imelda that impacted Bermuda this year, and Tropical Storm Jerry brought a ton of rainfall down in parts of the Leeward Islands, so we still did have storms that caused major impacts outside of the U.S. Now, one interesting note with this hurricane season that even though we had a small amount of named storms, we had 4 major hurricanes this year, 3 of which were Category 5 hurricanes, and there has never been a season with this little activity to still produce 3 Category 5 hurricanes ever in the same season. And one final interesting thing to note is that this is the first season since 2018 that not a single storm formed in the month of November. We had quite a bit of activity though in October, as you can see, but also another interesting point is that statistically speaking, the peak of hurricane season comes on September 10th. And this year we didn't even have a storm on September 10th. But then afterwards, again, that activity did end up increasing, but we ended November on a very quiet note. Taylor, I know after we saw just how devastating Melissa was, we were both very happy to see that no storms formed in the month of November and that hurricane season did go out on a very quiet note. And now all of our attention kind of turns into winter and winter weather across the area. Lots of snow happened over Thanksgiving. I'll send things back over to you, Taylor, to kind of wrap up what people were dealing with over the holiday weekend and even people dealing with some winter weather this morning and possible winter weather in the next few days to come.
I can see all of your comments in the chat over here. Some people are asking, they're saying, watching here in Oklahoma, I would advise people to take it easy on those bridges and overpasses if you are headed out. Yeah, we saw a very, very messy situation earlier this morning, but I'm going to go ahead and go back to the forecast. So let's go ahead and take you back to the forecast. Here we go. As I mentioned earlier, we have more snow to come. So it's not just people in Kansas City that are expecting that snow today, but we've also got snow across places like Chicago and across the Northeast as well. We've got snow across Colorado as well. Ooh, it's cold out there. Still chilly today. Yes, a blast of cold air has hit a good portion of the U.S., including all of the plains, the Midwest, and across the Northeast. We have many of us staying in those cold conditions through tomorrow as well. And as we look into Wednesday, it looks like anyone who is warmed up by the middle of the week will get cold once again by the end of the week. So we kind of are in these like ups and downs of these warm to cold temperatures, but for the most part staying cold. So it looks like a cold setup this week. What about next week? So here we're looking at I'm going to double check here to make sure that these days are right. Let's see, the 6th through the 10th. Yes, okay, this is correct. What we're looking at here is the 6th through the 10th. It does look like it's going to stay cold across the Midwest on the 6th through the 10th, and it looks like we could see some extra precipitation as well. So this is your extended rain outlook. However, most of the time it doesn't just mean rain. You know, this time of year we could get snow or rain, so it's your precipitation outlook. It looks like it does have a chance to be wetter than normal as we head into the very beginning of December. We're talking about the 6th through the 10th there. So there's your forecast. Before I end this forecast, we're going to say 1 or 2 more minutes for extra questions. I don't know why. I don't know what happened because the Cowboys won, but John says, because the Cowboys won. What do you think that is? We're having winter weather because the Cowboys run? Because the Cowboys won? I'm not quite sure. And we can go back to our live maps out of Kansas City right now. Just a ton of red on the roadways here. Big slowdowns all across the Kansas City metro here. I mean, but not just the metro. I mean, we can go far out of Kansas City and we can go into places like Grain Valley, and you can see on the highways, we still have snow coming down right here. It looks like a winter wonderland. However, I think that the drivers may disagree with that it is not a winter wonderland, but rather a traffic hazard, major traffic hazard here at I-70 eastbound and I-470. It looks like we have just a parking lot basically on the highway where no cars are moving. Or moving very slowly. And this is the case across a good portion of Missouri. We can go to Lee's Summit now. Traffic may be moving a little bit better there. You can see that people's speeds look a little bit more promising for traffic moving better in some places, but not in others, because as we zoom out, we've got red all across Harrisonville as well. Let's go to some places over here. Yeah, it looks like we've stalled vehicles on the highway here. You can see that semi is pulled over onto the side of the road. And it looks like in these areas, we may have more icy conditions. That's questionable here. And that would be because of maybe some melting on the roadways, but it's still very cold in these areas. So we could see refreezing, making it very icy. We have a question here. So Oklahoma and Texas are looking dry for the 6th through the 10th. Well, we probably won't be dry that entire week. However, I can go back to your future radar and show you. Let's pull up the camera here. And I am producing for myself today, so it may take me just a little bit to get all of this set up. Here we go. That's why we had audio issues earlier to do. Producing for myself is pretty difficult because there's a lot going on all at once. So sometimes we have some technical difficulties. I'm not the perfect person to do all of this by myself. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at Oklahoma and Texas long term here. If we take a look at Monday, it looks like all of that rain and ice are moving out. As we head into Tuesday, it also is pretty quiet across Oklahoma and Texas, but it's cold, okay? It's a little bit warmer tomorrow than what we see today, but it's still pretty cold out there. It will once again get cold. Hang on, I'm going to pull this camera up. Maybe get it better. There we go. It's a good camera to see. All right, back to Oklahoma and Texas. It will get cold once again later on in the week as you see all of this snow that's moving in from the Dakotas and into Colorado. That's going to bring some really cold temperatures across Oklahoma and Texas by the middle of the week. And it's also going to bring snow across places like Chicago, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. As we head into the end of this week and early next week, so let's see, the 6th is this Saturday. It looks like we have another chance for some sort of rain or snowy conditions next Saturday and Sunday as well. So watch that come into Oklahoma during that time as well. So that would be the 7th, I think. Yes, the 7th is next Sunday. So yeah, we could get some sort of winter weather next Sunday. Again, we always say if we're looking at more than 4 or 5 days out, so anytime after the 5th or the 6th, we can't always trust these models because so much can change between now and then. Basically, what we're looking at is just an idea of what models think could happen, but a lot will change between now and then. I will not say you're going to get snow on Sunday. No. I will say there could be some sort of winter weather moving into the plains on Sunday. Now, that winter weather could be just cold, could just be cold and dry. Could be cold and snowy, could be cold and rainy. You know, we're not quite sure at this point. It's just too far out. However, you know, keep an eye on next week, early next week here. This is Sunday. This could linger into Monday as well. Just keep an eye on it. We have a great question here. Any hail in Lubbock? No, no hail in Lubbock today. No hail in Lubbock for several days at least. Lubbock, Texas. Did you guys get any snow this morning? Maybe a little bit of rain this morning. And you guys, Lubbock is going to stay dry Tuesday, Wednesday, at least through Wednesday. Lubbock, you guys may have some winter weather on Thursday. Good questions today. Well, I'm going to hop off of here and we're going to go ahead and do some more social media updates throughout the rest of the afternoon. Thanks for joining us today. I'm meteorologist Taylor Cox. Make sure that you follow us on all forms of social media. Even while we technically have no severe weather, well, we could see severe weather down in Florida and Alabama today, but it's a very low chance, right? Low chance for severe weather today and tomorrow. Well, we can still go out there and work those storms that happened earlier this year, right? Those summertime storms, those springtime storms, always an opportunity right now to go back and rework some of those other storms. So give us a call for a map of either hail, wind, or tornado map. Give us a call at 855-334-4245 or email us at info@hailtrace.com. You can always head over to our website for more information, hailtrace.com. And for more weather updates just like this, you can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. If you're new here, I usually do this on a green screen with a producer and a whole team. However, because of the winter weather today, a lot of people are working at home. They're staying safe, they're staying off the roadways, they're working from home. So I soloed it today. We should be back in full swing tomorrow. So give us a follow for all of those weather updates on our Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube and TikTok pages. And we'll see you back here for your full forecast tomorrow as well. We do this every single weekday, so we will see you same time, same place tomorrow.